Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Sakariye Ahmed Hassan and you're watching the Youth Show here live at SomaliCable.tv. This show is here to help, inspire and empower young Somali people to greatness. You can call in with your success stories, we would love to hear. Have you recently passed your GCSEs with flying colours? Have you had any university offers? We would love to hear that here at the Youth Show at SomaliCable.tv. Likewise, are you going through any problems that you'd like to talk about? Together, me and you and the rest of the Somali nation, we can have solutions to overcome these problems. magacayga waxaa la dhahaa Sakariye Ahmed Hassan CAWKE la socda barnaamijka sabti walba 6 UK time. Wassalaamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're watching the Youth Show here in London, live at Somali Cable TV. Kulanti wacan oo wanaagsan waa barnaamijkeeni dhalinyarada oo saacadan oo kala socotaan telefishinka caalamiga ee Somali Cable TV. barnaamijkeena maanta martida waxa uu ah guuleed moogax oo mentor oo ah dhalinyarada ku soo dhawo barnaamijka. Guuleed, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself and what significant events and stuff that happened in your life that shaped your character into who you became today.
Okay, well, first of all, actually, I'm not a mentor. It started off with, I'm part of this program called SOO, and basically SOO is a program that links Somali professional to Somali students or anyone that's trying to get into that profession that that person's in. Personally, about myself, just graduated from uni, international business, just work in the fitness sector, so and just pretty much part of the program. So that's pretty much it, really.
You said you started off a mentoring group.
Yeah.
Was it only you, or did you co-found it with other people?
No, it wasn't actually just me. It was a lot of us. First of all, it started off as a program called London Somali Democratic Engagement last year. Actually, this is our first year since we've been together. And initially, it was 11 of us, but it came down to 8. And then what happened was we're trying to get Somali people to get involved in the next general election. And then after that, when that program finished and the general election was over, we wanted to have a long-lasting legacy, and that's how we, it's what it came about. So there was a couple of us, so a couple of 3 or 4 ladies and 2 or more guys.
Swather, the name is actually really catching, it means a swather, it's a sea weather, Dhalinyarada sea weather.
Yeah.
So is it based only professionals or mentors, or is it people that haven't had professions but certain life experiences?
At the moment when we started off, it was just strictly professionals. So it was just someone that could, it doesn't have to specifically be professionals, but we started off as a professional, okay? So it is pretty much professional, but the way we started it off, we just wanted someone that could guide someone that's going through the similar situation that they went through to help them get to where they got to. But it was initially professional.
Guleed, if you can tell us a bit more about, your academic life and how Sadawah Ubarata, so maybe Kabilo, school kadegata to maybe college the maybe jama'at, and certain challenges I face karasa, because maybe dhalinyara or Somaliyat or halkas jogan, they can maybe gain experience from you and you'll be able to advise them here.
Well, my life story. Well, yeah, okay, let's get to my life story then. Well, initially I went to basically I went to primary school in Norfolk, and then went to high school. But during primary school and high school, I went to Somalia. So I went to Hargeisa for a while. I lived there, and those 3 years were probably the most beneficial ones, because then I was able to understand, the different lives, the here and down there, if you know what I mean. So when I came back, I was more focused, and I just wanted to just get over with the academic. Then I went to college, studied BTech, National Diploma in Business, and then I went to uni. So this is where the mentoring program actually comes involved, because when I was going through those things, there wasn't someone to actually guide me. So I made a lot of mistakes. Like for example, when I first day of uni, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to uni or not. It was just Somali pressure, if you know what I mean. So anyways, I did. I'm glad that I actually got it over with, because that took a lot of years. But during those processes, I always been into entrepreneurial things and always started my own businesses and things, and that's where I needed the mentoring. So I started one business, which was a car trading company, and I lost a lot of money on that during that process. But if I had a mentor or someone to guide me, I probably wouldn't make those mistakes. So in general, it was just beneficial in terms of just the routes that I've gone through, even though that it would have been beneficial if I had a mentor. But the fact that I was just able to go through it myself makes me even want to be more dedicated to the mentoring program, so that other Somali young youths don't have to go through the same routes, if you know what I mean.
You know, a mentor is a really hard job because, you know, you require a lot of skills. But what special skills will a mentor إنه dhalinyarada tusiyo when he's speaking to them, when he's advising them?
Okay, well, actually, I'll speak about my own experience right now, because I do a lot of things on the side. So there's a mentoring program that I'm part of that I get mentoring. So I can speak about my personal experience. So what I look for in a mentor is someone that is willing to, well, I'm kind of a hand-off person, if you know what I mean. I don't want someone to hold my hand and go through the exact process that they went through. I like to think for myself, if you know what I mean. And just someone there that would just, if I ask something about it, give me their opinion. And that doesn't mean I'm going to still do what they say to do, but it's just valuable to have their opinion. So I got mentors for things that like business at the moment, and if I ask them a question, how did you do this? You know, they'll tell me, this is how I went through, but you don't have to go through the same thing. You can find your own route. So in regards to your question, I think the mentor is someone that would be able to provide a valuable opinion, because the thing is, everybody can provide opinion, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean that they went through anything like that. So, I mean, I've seen a lot of people that never started a business or anything like that telling you how to start a business. So it just cuts out all of that, all of those unnecessary opinions when you got a mentor, because this person already achieved what you're trying to achieve. So their opinion's valuable, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, you said that you have a mentor right now, but you know, the Somali tradition normally is that you don't need a mentor, you don't have a mentor because the parent knows what's best, or, you know, aniwa ogahe wahasamania. So maybe do you think it's more tradition that many Somalis, they don't have mentors, and maybe they should open up to the idea of getting mentors? So maybe, you know, if hudu abaham is hoyada, if they're in a specific area and they don't specialize in it, maybe qofka inuu tagaani ku dahan, you know, wiilkayga wuxuu rabaa inuu noqdo waxaas iyo waxaas, maxaa ka caawini kartaa? So do you think that has a factor inside of it?
Okay, this one is a bit tricky. No disrespect to the Somali, you know, elders or the parents. I know that some parents know exactly what they're talking about, but like I said, no disrespect, but a lot of the Somali parents, they just, because they grew up in Somalia, you know what I mean? And they only got that way of thinking of the Somali way. So in terms of when we're here in the UK, they don't look at it from a, you know, British perspective or like just a Western perspective. Like Western people, they kind of appreciate mentoring. Like every time, you know, I was part of a lot of mentoring programs, they always, you know, big companies always fund mentoring programs because they know that how valuable it is. A lot of CEOs, they always thank those mentors that they had back in the days. But Somali people, unfortunately, we don't actually have that. And I think that is part of the negative problems that we have, is because you can't, you know, there's no one that you can just call up and say, you know, what do you think about this? So in regards to your question, no, I don't think Somali parents know the best, because, you know, the route that they want you to go down does not mean that's the route you're going to go down. Like I said, no disrespect, but, you know, you know what you want in life, right?
Yeah.
And your parents, they can tell you your opinions. Like, for example, when I was growing up, I always knew I was going to stick to business. You know, my family never said not to stick to it really, but at the same time, there wasn't that guidance, if you know what I mean. But then there was no one to provide that guidance, you know what I mean. So that's the reason I had to look for other options to get the guidance.
You know, you said, well, Western tradition in has some mentor, but you know, you said that a lot of Aba they grew up in Somalia. So that tradition as well, it helps the Western tradition if you think about it, because certain or the Western people don't necessarily have.
Yeah.
So maybe the mentoring idea isn't something that is in our tradition as of yet, but it's something that can be pushed in. So do you think we can create more awareness for mentoring to the Somali youth, so how they benefit from it? And if so, how do we create that awareness?
Definitely. Like I said, unfortunately at the moment we don't, but I mean, I'm not sure about your experience, you're still growing up, but I'm not sure about other Somali people's experience, but I've been to places, for example, where there wasn't, because the thing I was doing, I was the only Somali person there, and I saw a Somali person there that was a profession there and was high ranking, and I was thinking, oh, you know, like, naturally you're going to relate to him because he's Somali, and you're thinking, because obviously our Somalis, when we came here, they pretty much went through the same struggles, didn't we? Come from low background, like low income families. We also come from like education and things like that we're not good at the moment, statistically speaking. So when you see a Somali person that moved up the ranks, then naturally you just respect them naturally, because it doesn't mean every Somali person came from that background, but you're going to respect it. So that's something that we need to create awareness. Like, for example, a lot of the people that are coming forward for Iswada at the moment, I did not even knew those kind of profession even existed. It's not that they don't exist, it's because there's no awareness. And inshallah, one day every Somali kid could, you know, have a mentor all around the world.
You know, you mentor Iswada, they mentor a lot of kids. What main career path or faculty do they most want to get into?
At the moment, to be honest with you, I can't really answer that, because the mentoring program, we just started it right now. So we just got the mentors together. We actually haven't at the moment matched someone up yet. So it's only been doing the promotion for 1 month. So that question, I can't really answer it at the moment. But I can tell you basically the different type of professions that are coming forward. So for example, there was one of the guys, there was an entrepreneur called Abshir, for example. Like, that could have been very valuable when I was coming through myself, my business experience. We also have a neuroscientist, which is Dr. Muna, which I did not even knew that existed, to be honest with you. I didn't even know something like that existed, but it's a good thing that, you know, we also got like a barrister, Hashi. So we got a lot of people at the moment, so hopefully if someone wants to apply, then it has to be within those career paths that they went through.
Do you feel, so from the people that came forward to Iswada, that they chose their career path maybe out of their own choice, or maybe through expectation? Because, you know, there's certain expectations that you have of your kid, so maybe you want him to be very successful in education. Maybe you came from a sports background, you want him to be very successful in sports. So do you think that there was expectation, or do you think they made their own choice up and went and pursued it?
To be honest with you, I can't really speak for them, but I can say that from when I met them, their passion, the way they speak, the way they're enthusiastic about what they do, then it looks like that's something that they pursued in it, really. So I can't really say whether they were pushed into it or not, but if someone's pushed into something, then I don't think they're gonna like it, really. But if you just naturally followed it, then it looks like, I mean, if you naturally followed it, then you'd be really enthusiastic about it and passionate. And so far, all of the ones that I've met, they look like they really chose their path, but I can't really speak for them.
Guled, do you see a lot of potential in these young Somali kids that you hear about, or young Somali people? But, you know, always you know, Wilkad has potential, Kabada, she has potential, but we never know how to, you know, get the best out of them. So what how do you think we get the best out of our kids and Danyara the Somaliyat?
It's a really good question. Well, I can tell you that from my experience, I was always a hard-headed person, so I always never used to listen. When someone tells me don't follow this opinion, I never used to do it. I always used to just pursue what I wanted to do, and unfortunately, my family couldn't see the benefit of that. But right now, I see a lot of kids, a lot of Somali kids that was just exactly like me when I was coming up, and all they really need is just to take that energy into something that's positive. So for example, all of those, being hard-headed and things like that, they all became useful right now that I'm chasing all of the, goals that I'm doing, things like business, because you need to be resilient and you need to just take rejections and all of them things. And because I grew up like that, it just naturally helps me. It doesn't make me break down. So like that question, referring to that question you said, there's a lot of kids that I see, in my neighborhood or my friends' little brothers. A lot of them, they're hard-headed, they don't listen, and their parents, they're just pushing them to something that they don't like instead of understanding them, finding out what they like. And if you like something and you're really one of those people that are hard-headed, you don't really listen that much. If someone tells you you can't do it, you're still gonna go ahead and do it. Then they need to find what it is that they like. It doesn't matter whether the parents agree with it or not. At the end of the day, no disrespect, but it is that kid that's gonna live the rest of their life in what they like to do. You know what I mean?
But Guled, you said that kid is going to live with what they want to do. But of course, marka dashid qof, and I don't know if you're a parent, but then مسؤولية qofka saaran.
Yeah.
So unigad, you're always going to want what's best for him.
Yeah.
And maybe he doesn't want what's best for himself. So always in our push kare sidwayan. But also there's a time to back off as well. And that weelki get into Sakariye, asaga og wuxurabo. So asaga ogolade inu sameye wuxurabo. So with regards to education, how do you think you can gain the trust of those kids maybe? Because trust is, it's a big factor in regards to when someone doesn't listen to you. So how do you think you break that barrier and gain that trust between that parent, that kid, that son, that daughter?
Okay, well, that's a good one. Well, first of all, I can only speak about my experiences. I know that a lot of Somali people, when they, talk about these issues, they tend to speak for everyone, but that can't happen. I can only speak for myself and my experience and what I see, right? So for me personally, I used to be hard-headed like and the person that used to actually have my trust was my grandma and my aunt, simply because they used to listen. Like, they used to listen to what I want, if you know what I mean, right? Rather than the rest of my family saying, oh, like, like my grandma used to ask me, she used to be, very compassionate and things like that. So if you want to gain the trust of a kid, for example, right now, if you're a parent and you're trying to make your kid listen, and he says, oh, let's say, for example, he wants to pursue a career in sports, then you shouldn't tell him, no, you gotta be a doctor. Because that's instantly, you just lost the kid there. You know what I mean? You lost the kid in there because he's not interested in becoming a doctor. So being a doctor is not the only way to be successful. So instead of that, tell him why is he into sports, why does he like doing sports, or help him become that person that he wants to be. If it's not against the religion, there's no reason why you should be telling him this and that. We got this fake thing in Somali culture, which is sharaf. I know you heard of it. Yeah. And it's just, well, personally, I find it nonsense, really. I don't really understand this sharaf. They're trying to bring the Somali culture into the Western world. You know what I mean? And it's not mixing together, because there is no sharaf in the beginning, because first of all, most of us came here as refugees. A lot of Somali parents, they're on benefits, so I don't even see where this sharaf is coming from. Like, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. But Guled, that sharaf that people have, that's a good thing, because you see a lot of people, markay imaadaan, when they go to another country, they always keep their tradition with them. So that tradition, obviously, if you move, hadaa meel kasoo guurtid, weli dhaqankaada waa haysataa. Sidoo kale, you know, the Western tradition, diinta, they're Christians. So are we going to say, you know, ayaga waxa weeyaan Christian yaal, so, you know, cunugeena, they're not going to accept them, so I can't dig a Christian. It's not like that. So do you think that there's other traditions that we can bring in, and maybe even we can lose some traditions?
Yeah, but you had misunderstood me right there. Now things like sharaf, what I'm talking about is the culture. You know, every culture has got a negative and a positive, right? Now, even some Somali parents, actually a lot of them Somali community, they consider sharaf, for example, marrying another tribe, that's a lower tribe, for example, that's sharaf. You can't do that, apparently. I'll do it, but apparently you can't do that. So that is sharaf that I was talking about, the negative things in sharaf. Telling the kid he can't be a doctor because these expectations, no, he can't be this, or a sports person, for example, because he got to be a doctor because there's this expectation on his family. The people in Somalia need to hear about it. They need to be proud of him. You know, you need to be just proud of your kid rather than take everything out. If you're a parent or sister or whatever, take all of the other influences out. If he's not doing, like I said, if he's not doing something wrong, right? He's following I think tradition and culture just does not mix. So I'm going to say if he's following the religion, if he's not against the religion, then there's no problem with it. Now, there's certain things that the religion is not against, but the Somali tradition is against. For example, marrying another tribe that's lower than you. The religion don't say nothing about that, but the Somali, you know, culture says something about that. So for me, there's a lot of things that's wrong with the Somali culture, and you know, they need to take that out and just leave the positive things in. Things like when you're in trouble, you know, in Somalia, everyone helps each other out. Things like that is a good things. You need to keep that. Things like you can't marry this tribe or this expectation because, you know, relative families that you never heard of, you know, that never actually been part of your struggles, want you to be successful and become a doctor or something like that, instead of following what you're passionate about. Things like them kind of negative things in culture need to be taken out. So, like I said, there's a lot of things to learn. I know Somali people are hard-headed and we don't really follow, but, you know, you just gotta be open-minded. Look at, you know, I like the way Western people, they, you know, influence their kids. If they see something good that their kid's doing, if he's a good sports person, they put them in a sports club. Let him develop. If he's into, you know, whatever something that positive it is, then they always help them achieve it.
Yeah,
but we don't have that in the Somali culture. No, we always, the Somalis, this is the rule you need to go down. This is what the family expect of you. This is what random Somalis, you know, that you never heard of back home expect of you. And nah, you know, that's not going to happen. I mean, personally, it's not going to happen. And you're not going to build trust if you go down that route with your kids. That's why most Somali parents and Somali kids, they very distant, you know, they can't speak to their parents about personal things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the
Good.
reason.
I heard you, but you know, as always, waxaan tahay mas'uuliyad ku kor saaran marka qof tashid. So marka aaba tahay mise marka hooyo tahay, mas'uuliyadaas ku kor saaran. So mas'uuliyadaas ina ka baxdid weeyaan. So, you know, it's always good. You need to aim high at all times. So that helps, you know, the Somali people, you know, because hadadahay lahan, you know, waxa rabnaa ina noqono qof maybe in the education department who isn't so high up. Like he's, you know, that's very good. Hududaho, every Somali person, wiilkiga waxaan rabaa inuu noqdo dhakhtar. Maybe wiilkaada muu noqoni doono dhakhtar, but in as of itself, that's something, you know, we should be proud of, because we're always aiming to the highest that we can aim. And you know, that, you know, waxa maqalna qofkaas iyo qofkaas aan noqdo dhakhtar. So that's why I rabaa inuu wiilkiga dhakhtar noqdo. But that itself, you know, that's because that's a role model back home. I hesitated. Wuxuu dahay dhakhtar ani noqdo, wiilkaada waxaan rabaa inuu inspire gareeyo inuu dhakhtar asagana noqdo. So do you think that's a good thing, or do you think that's a bad thing? And also, you said that waxa ku noqota for Somalia, Hargeisa, for 3 years. So did you learn any things over there that maybe that you didn't learn over here? And also, is the traditions over there different to the traditions that Somali people have in Ingriska?
All right. Well, first of all, in regards to your first question, got very bad memory, so slow down, Sakariye. Now, first of all, in regards to your first question, is it good or bad? I said that is completely bad because of the simple fact that I said, you know, Somali people tend to, they want to move as a sheep, you know what I mean, right? This is the this is like bunch of sheep. They just all want to go forward like that. But we keep forgetting that we got individuals. Everybody's different. Everybody's got different personalities. Everybody's good at something. They're bad at something. If that person's good at being a doctor, that's them. You understand, right?
Then again, you know, that's something, you know, that's very stereotypical in that, you know, qof Somali, because that everyone else wants to do that.
Yeah.
You know, that's a very stereotypical thought. So do you think maybe that is true, or would you take that back?
So repeat that for me.
So do you think that every Somali person wants to do this because the other person is doing that is a stereotype from Danyarada Somaliyat or Halkandagan? Or do you think that is mainly true?
No, this got nothing to do with the Danyar. This is from the elders, okay? The influence comes from the elders. They forgetting that every Somali kid that they got, you know, the parents, they're forgetting that this is an individual. They're good at something, they're bad at something. Like, for example, me, I know I can do whatever I put my mind into it, but I don't like maths. So I wouldn't bother even being an accountant because I don't enjoy the subject. I'm not even going to bother with it, right? But, you know, that's where I was telling you about, you know, looking at someone, what they're good at, what they're bad at, you know, and then helping them, guide them to become
Hello,
good.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Magacadi mashak soo hadlisid?
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. waxaad tahay wiil yar oo ilaahay barakeeyey. ilaahayna waxaan u weydiinaya waalkii kugu soo tabcay inuu jannada ilaahay ku barbaariyo.
Amiin. Hooyo, magacadi mashak soo hadlisid? Hooyo Soomaaliyeed.
hooyo Norway baan ka soo hadlayaa.
yaa hooyo.
Norway baan ka soo hadlayaa hooyo macaan.
نور ما حكتر لهاد برنامج كان دلنيرة دمانته هاي سوماليات.
hooyo macaanta dhalinyarada maanta waxaan ku dirahaa dhalinyaradeennu dhaqankii way ka tageen ilaahay dhaqankooda ha ku soo celiyo wax walbana guriga unbay ka soo bilaabmaan waxaan hooyooyinka kula talinaya horta hooyada wiilkan yar dhashay ee iminka barnaamijka wada ilaahay waxaan u weydiiyey khayr iyo barako inuu ilaahay u barbaariyo ayada iyo awlaadeedii odageedaba liibaan baan ilaahay u weydiinayaa waxa weeyaan inanka yarna laguma cuno oo laguma cawriyaan leeyahay maasha allah allaha ku barakeeyo soo barbaar oo soo weyno hooyo kuwa adigoo kaleeta oo fikrad fiican keenana hooyo dhaqanka Soomaalida dhalinyaradeenu dhaqankii way ka tageen dhaqanka loo noqdaan leeyahay dambigana iyagu male waxay joogaan hooyo dhul ay maxaa la yiraahdaa ehelkoodii una joogin dhibaatooyin badan ay jiraan marka waxaan leeyahay caruurta guriga weeyaan hooyooyinku ha ku tabcaan oo ubadka inta iskoolka joogaan maana inta kale guriga joogaan gabar hadday tahay iyo wiilba hadday tahayba in dhaqankii la baro in sheekooyinkii hore looga sheekeeyo in wixii soo jiray loo sheego awoowayaashii iyo wixii la soo qaban jiray dhib iyo dheefba wixii jiray ee dalkooda jira in looga sheekeeyo inta markaad halkan 7 saacadood intuu 7 ka tago 5 galabnimo ama 6 ku yimaado hada gabar adina wax ku soo dhurtay adiguna inaad ka shubtaan la rabaa taasoo kuwii qayrkooda qaawan bay arkayaan kuwii qayrkooda wax walba samaynayay arkayaan dhibaatay ku dhex jiraan dhariga dabada dhinaca ka gubtay caruurteennii noqdeen marka waxaan codsanayaa caruurta in guriga lagu barbaariyo
hooyo Soomaaliyeed aad iyo aad ugu mahadsan tahay jazakallahu khair hooyada Soomaaliyeed waxay ka hadlaysaa dhaqanka Soomaalida luus garan halkan hada la degan yahay because you know there's a lot of people or relatives or degan maybe Somalia or Kenya or anywhere. So that's a very good thing that, you know, hooyada Soomaaliyeed oo Norway kasoo hadlaysa waxay noo sheegtay waa la isla hadli jiray, you know, markuu ka soo noqdo cunugaada schoolka waa la isla hadli jiray, cunto la isla cuni jiray. Laakiin nowadays ma aragtid, you know, qof boqolkooda ku xiran yahay television-kooda daawanana. So do you think that dhaqan is something that we should bring back talking to?
horta first of all hooyada soo qaraacday mahadsan tahay insha Allah ilaahay ka aqbalo ducada. Secondly, now this is the thing that I was coming to in terms of culture. You know, this is not just a Somali issue. This is what you just mentioned is a global thing. Your technology is developing, the world is developing. This is not the 1950s where you can, you know, females didn't have any rights. You know, a lot of times I see some Somali guys saying Somali female can't do this or can't do that. That comes again under the negative things about dhaqan. Now, dhaqanka is got two types. Yeah, wax fiican iyo wax xun. But Somali people, they do not want to leave the wax xun. Like they just want to stick to you know, together. They want everything to be together. For example, like I said, this is not the 1950s. You know, females got rights. Somali girls, you know, they got their own rights. They can do what they want. But you constantly see Somali guys telling them, oh, you know, you can't do this or you can't do that, right? So the second point that she mentioned, which was very good as well, is this is a two-way thing. Okay, you cannot just blame the dhalinyarada marka, you know, when you got no single role models in the Somali community. For example, I'll give you something. I'll give you a good example, right? In my local area, which I ain't gonna mention, but in my local area, there's a lot of Somali shops, right? And you know, they always, the Somali elders, they tell me, oh, ma tukatin and and this and that, right? But I'm asking at the same time, what are you doing? You know, you're here, you know, just doing nothing with your life. You know, you're not being a good role model. So how can you tell someone, how could you point out my mistakes and what's wrong with me when you're completely worse than me? You know what I mean? So that is something that obviously that we need to address. And, you know, these things, it's going to take time. But the dhaqan, like I said, times are changing. The only thing forward is just take the positive things and leave the negative things. But in terms of how dhaqan is changing, that's got not just a Somali issue, that's a global issue. You know, technology is changing. Back in the days, females didn't have rights. They got rights now. Culture doesn't respect that. You know, that's an important part actually. Culture does not respect the fact that females got their own right nowadays. Because these cultures, dhaqankan waxa la sameeyay, I don't know, is it 1800 or something, or 1900? Whenever it was made, odayaal isku yimaaday, beri hore ay sameeyeen dhaqan, ma garatay? And then berigaas, they want to take that dhaqan into 2015. It doesn't make sense to me. Because when they were making these dhaqan, it did make sense. You know, in qabilka marka hadashid, right? The reason that some qabils cannot marry other qabils is back in the days when because dhaqanka Somali, we used to have like kingdoms, right? So they were enemies. So this tribe was an enemy to this tribe. So they made a rule that this tribe cannot marry this tribe, okay? But then these people that exist in this century, they're trying to bring that into 2015, which is illogical, you know what I mean?
As always, برنامجكنا وتواصل رأيي فكرة دين ونكسبنا إيه وحكتر هذين برنامجكنا. Guled, you're talking about dhaqan iyo deen. You know, dhaqan iyo deen waa laba wax kale. You know, they're not the same. So maybe diinta wuxuu ogolaadaa wax, laakiin dhaqanka ma ogolaado. But dhaqan also, every country you see waxay haysadaan tradition yaal. So wuxuu diinta ogolaado iyo dhaqanka ogolaanin, maybe wali waa lasii raaci karaa. Laakiin si wuxuu, like, you know, maybe labadaba wax mid isla ogolaadaan. So maybe, you know, surwaalkaada hoos u degisid. That maybe dhaqan iyo deen ma ogolaado. So that's something that we can keep in. But different dhaqan yaal iyo deen yaal, I understand what you mean by it, that they don't support each other. Guled, what main difficulties did you face when you wanted to do a degree in international business?
I did not actually face any difficulties really, because like I said, when I was growing up, I was just hard-headed, so I always just followed what I wanted to do. I make the mistakes and I come back from it, you know what I mean? But obviously my family, they had their opinions saying, you know, this and that. Obviously I'm not saying negative things about my family, but it's just a typical Somali family, if you know what I mean, right? So saying, oh, you can't do this. When I started a business, you know, they obviously want the best for me, but they saying, you know, lactala, safe and this, but I don't want to do that, you know. Our thing that I wanted to speak to you about was a vision. End of the day, everybody's got a vision, right? What you vision for your life 5 years from now is not the same as your parents. This is just a gift. A vision is actually a really gift that God gave you. Okay, I don't know, what do you want to be in 5 years time? Let me actually even ask it. Let me interview you now. What do you want to be?
inshallah, you know, أنا واحد ربا إن دكتور نقضة.
Okay.
But إن أسي وضعنا برنامج كان دلنيرة because I always feel that you know إن لو سو عليا دلنيرة الصوماليات واحد نقطة you know why not قف أوكس same chance أحسن إنه نقضة. So that's you know every time I'm أخشيت قف إنه ربا إنه نقضة engineer مثل دكتور automatically دلنيرة الصوماليات وح أسيم قريان. You know it's a stereotype in itself as well that هوي هذا كو شخص دكتور إنه نقطة. That's why أنا دكتور نقطة. But me personally I have a passion for it, so maybe that's why I دكتور ربنا نقضة. And you know like you said I can't speak on behalf of دلنيرة الصوماليات or done. But me personally, that's what I want to do and that's what I aspire to do. And you should always have a plan A, B, and C. Do you think that's essential? Because when you make a mistake, you should always fall back from it. Make a mistake. Somali tradition, they normally don't have a plan B or a plan C. So let's say someone wants to do engineering and then they don't get the grades for engineering. That's it, you know, their life stops there, they have to fall back and they don't know what they're doing. So do you think plan A, B and C are essential?
Definitely. Getting the degree was actually the last of my plans. That was not my first of my plans. But when I was, you know, like setting up my own business and I lost a lot of money through those process, one thing that I never left, and when I was going through all kind of negative stuff, was education. I never left that one because I always knew that was sort of like the guarantee thing. If everything that I chase outside of academics or whatever, if they don't work out, you know, at the end of the day, at least I got a degree. You know what I mean? You can't take that from me. So that is very, really important. Like, even if I fail in business or other things that I'm chasing, at the end of the day, you know, I can always fall back on that one. So that's why I always tell everyone, you know, you need to have a lot of plans. If plan A is not working, plan B, plan C. But the one that you should never leave is the education at the end of the day, because that is, even me, you know, I grew up all hard-headed and all that stuff, but I always knew inside my head that is the only guaranteed way. It's technically, it's just pretty much guaranteed, you know what I mean? If you get yourself good grades, a good degree, you know, at the least, if you don't achieve everything you're trying to achieve, the least, you're still going to live, you know, average, right? So that's important.
قولت واحد هذا ولا كومنتور قرية. Do you think a mentoring session should be general? So قف أبوك السابسين هاي مثلا كوا mentor guaranteed on you look at their own specific what they want to do and what they're failing at or what they're successful at. So do you think it's general or is it individual ways that in which mentoring should go about?
It should be individual. It can't be general, because it all comes back to the thing I was telling you about. Everybody's different. Everybody's got different skills.
Hello, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. ما قاعد يمشك سهل يسد؟
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. ما وحلا بها أحمد.
أحمد ما شك سهل يسد أحمد؟ محاربت أنا كنت في البرنامج كان إن شاء الله ما أنت أحمد.
تكريم الله ما شاء الله. لندن بالورقة قرقي جهة عروض في سنوان وYouthShow ويوم بيبلك عطالان كران ما شاء الله حضرنا غبران كران أبقي مرتبة على منطقة ما شاء الله keep up the good job الله
إن شاء الله.
وأنا برنامج ساعة كلا برنامج اللي يرد يبشر السعر.
حابب تكلمنا أنه كنت ترتدنا إن شاء الله برنامج كان أحمد أو ما أنت منتور إنكو سابسن. Hello? Unfortunately, line كاس ونكا قاي إن شاء الله. Also وحنا نكحرر كتان email كان إن شاء الله youthshow@somalicable.tv and نكسر حرر كتان. Guled, you were saying that what led you to do international business?
Yeah. What led me to do international business? Because, you know, like I said, just naturally when I was growing up, I always wanted to just start businesses and things like that. So when I was going to uni, at first year, I just wanted to do a business degree, to be honest with you. But obviously, I'd done BTech diploma, so the next step was to do a business degree. So I did that, and the first year I sort of just dropped out of uni. And then that's where it came back to, you know, the thing that I was telling you, the education thing is very important because, you know, when I dropped out of uni, I was just doing, you know, a lot of just negative things, and I just realized that I need to go back to uni and then get this sorted out. And then now that I've finished, I'm free to pursue whatever I want to do. But I just done business degree because simply it was just the right option, really.
You told us again, you showed us even that markuu qof make a mistake in oo galata mistake in sameeyo, because without making a mistake you'll never know how to go past that mistake, you know.
Yep.
Every time you make a mistake you learn something new, as they say. So what other stuff did you learn new while making those mistakes that you were doing while you were out of uni?
Well, actually, I started the first business one time, and then it completely just failed, literally. But it failed because, you know, coming back to the maths thing I was telling you about, I wasn't good at maths, and I just couldn't do the finance, and it just became very complicated. And I just made rational decisions, just irrational decisions at that moment. I was under pressure and I just rushed through. I just wanted to get the success very quickly. So I made that, and then the whole thing failed. And then when it failed, when I look back why it failed, it was because of I didn't have a good knowledge of finance, financial education, which is very important. And also because I kind of did not ask for opinions. I just went through it because I thought, naturally the environment I was in was just negative, so everybody was going to be negative about it. It's not going to work, it's not going to work, it's not going to work. So I thought, might as well just do it. But because I didn't have the right people to ask, if I had the right people to ask for the opinion, it would have been better. But yeah, it was basically because what I learned from that is, financial education is very important. Before I make any move now, I have to calculate, a budget or things like that, and, have a backup. So if that money, that budget, whatever you're working towards completely fails, then you need to have a backup. If you don't, then, because that really left me in a very bad situation simply because I couldn't understand financial education. So after that, I kind of really studied that, just, coming back to the whole education thing that I was going to say is, if you're going to certain sectors for like business, education is not going to teach you the most. You learn by making mistakes.
Hello, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Unfortunately, inshallah, carry on, Goulet, sorry.
Yeah, if you're going to do business, really, yeah, things to do with business, sports, fitness, things like that, right? Things that doesn't have a, you got to follow this step after this step after this step. For example, you want to be a doctor, inshallah, when you're going to be a doctor, you got to follow certain steps, right? And then you pretty much become a doctor. But in business, in entrepreneurship, for example, or sports or fitness, things like that, or music, or anyways, there isn't a given steps. So you learn while you make mistakes. So that's why mentoring is very important if you're trying to become something that does not have a written steps to follow. So education, like I was saying, international business, to be honest with you, I did not learn anything those years I was there, apart from financial education. I really thank them for teaching me that part. But apart from that, it was simply because of making mistakes. Things like dealing under pressure, or failing and coming back from failures, or being resilient and all of these things that you need in business. Education is not going to teach you that.
You know, we always talk about on the youth show if you need to go to Jamaat in addicted certain subjects. So do you feel for the Nyarda Somaliyat out there that want to do business, Jamaat in Adhan is something that they need to do in order to do business? So do you think you still could have done what you wanted to do without going to Jamaat?
Well, first of all, it depends on what you want to do in business. That's the first question. Are you trying to be an accountant? If you're trying to be an accountant, then definitely you need to be in education. You need to get the highest qualifications that you can possibly can, okay? If you're trying to be a business manager, for example, then no, they pretty much, your experience, you know, they rate that more than anything. Even for example, when I was getting jobs, no one has actually even asked for my degree. You know, a lot of the interviews that I went through, it was just simply because I put through myself a lot of projects and entrepreneurial projects. They were obviously asking me about it. So I think it depends on what you want to do. If you're trying to be something like accountant or finance or banking, then it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to university, but it does mean that you have to be, you know, get the highest qualifications education-wise as possible. Someone that's got a master's in accounting can never equal to someone who just about to start a bachelor. But someone who's got a PhD, for example, at the moment, if you're trying to be entrepreneurial or business manager, and there's a lot of people that are in business management that manage whole companies or CEOs or started a business that have never even gone to uni or college. So it depends on what you want to do in business, really.
Last couple of questions, inshallah, Gulet. What attributes do you look for? So, maxaa ka raadaysaa mentoryaasha jeclaan lahayd in mentor gareeyaan? Hello, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Magacaadii meesha ka soo hadlaysid? Hello, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Magacaadii meesha ka soo hadlaysid? Yeah, hello. Unfortunately, khadkaas oo ka go'ay. Like I was saying, what attributes are ka raadaysaa dhalinyarada that need to get mentored? So maybe what attributes do you look for in those that you hire in Iswada for them to mentor those young kids, inshallah?
Well, first of all, they'll have to be able to commit to 6 months. So 1 hour per month, pretty much. They have to see the person that they want to mentor. The other thing is they have to obviously achieve, certain levels of success. What they want.
Hello, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Magacaadii meesha ka soo hadlaysid?
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Magacaadii meesha ka soo hadlaysid?
بربران كلا صحابي يا ولد.
Hello?
بربران كلا صحابي.
halkee, sorry?
بربرة.
بربرة. magacaada inshallah.
عبد الرحمن مدرس.
علي حسن.
عبد الرحمن.
عبد الرحمن. اوكي. ما حاربتنا قدرت ان شاء الله البرنامج كان مانت عبد الرحمن. ها. عبد الرحمن أنا واحد شاي قرية إنه كهذا لبا لغات so أف إنجليزي إيه أف صومالي سيدو قفة بنو فهم إن شاء الله and also واحد إلا كوسو كوران صومالي إنه كأف بدن يهين صومالي ذا سيدو كله هل كان كوسو كورا إنجليزي كأنه كأف بدن يهين إنجليزي كا so إن شاء الله ها I try to inshallah Abdurrahman إن أكو هذا مثلا صومالي أنت أكو هذا الكرة لكن سي هذا بيفهمي كرتد ووحفي عن إن شاء الله يا
والصومالي هو ضروري لكن بدنا كذا الصومالي كرنا ممكن ما عندك يعني ما تسمي كرتون ويا الصومالي ده يا بحكي عليه واحد اللي يلا الصومالي ده قلت يا بيجي كريلي هاي
ها
أيوة هاي لكن ما تقدر كم صوت أنا خير كاسة حلو وشيري مرة لكن كي صومالي ده أوضح اللي كتان
ها عبد الرحمن سيدو كله سيدو دهاي هذا بيفهم كرتد ووحفي عن كوز waxaan isku talagalaa inay fahamtid sida la socotid barnaamij kan dhalinyarada sidoo kale na kuwa Ingiriisiga degan oo af Soomaali ku hadli karin inay fahmaan insha Allah
ويا سلام يا
أنا حتى إن شاء الله سلامتها ولا السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Guled, what last thing would you like to say to dhalinyarada Soomaaliyeed oo maxaa ku dhiirigelin lahayd dhalinyarada Soomaaliyeed inay sameeyaan or what they want to do or what you would advise them to do inshallah with their life?
Coming back to pretty much everything that I said, you need to know what you want from life, really. Then once you know what you want from life, then you can take the right steps. But at the end of the day, don't be forced into doing something that you don't like, because you're really wasting your time. I know that there's a lot of pressure from the community, from the parents, and all kind of pressure. But at the end of the day, you're the one who's gonna live this life. Okay, so as long as it's not against your beliefs, you're not doing something wrong, then chase your dreams. That's all I got to say, to be honest.
Very wise words. Jazakallah khair. Inshallah, برنامج كان dhalinyarada gabagaba umara ma soo gabagabayna martida barnaamijka waxaan rabaynaa mahadsanid ku daho oo waqtigiisa qaaliga na siiya sidoo kale fartimiqaanka Somali Cable Arabe inaha mahadsanid ku daho kulanti dambe oo xiiso leh insha Allah. Assalaamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Sakariye Ahmed Hassan and you're watching the Youth Show here live at SomaliCable.tv. This show is here to help, inspire and empower young Somali people to greatness. You can call in with your success stories, we would love to hear. Have you recently passed your GCSEs with flying colours? Have you had any university offers? We would love to hear that here at the Youth Show at SomaliCable.tv. Likewise, are you going through any problems that you'd like to talk about? Together, me and you and the rest of the Somali nation, we can have solutions to overcome these problems. Magacayga waxaa la dhahaa Sakariye Axmed Xasan CAWKE.